Hello, everybody. Let me just make sure I have my screen set up. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. Hi, everybody. My name is Jackie Encinas. I am a program assistant with Georgia Adopt-A-Stream, and welcome to Confluence 2021. In case you missed the intro slides that were flowing through, just a reminder, this session is being recorded. So if you don't want to be seen in the video, then just be sure to have your video camera turned off. And we also ask that you please remain muted during the presentation and to use the chat box if you have any comments or any questions during the presentation. If you would also like to change your meeting view at any time, there's a button in the top right corner of your screen and you can toggle between speaker view and gallery view. And we also ask that you stick around after the session for about 15 minutes of informal networking time. And we're also going to have a prize drawing at the end. So you want to make sure to be here for that. And I'll hand it over to Bailey.
Yeah, thanks, Jackie. My name is Bailey. I am an Adopt-A-Stream state coordinator. So happy to be here with all of y'all today on our final day of Confluence. Yeah, and I'm sure you guys are familiar since this is the final day. Hope you've been able to join us for some other sessions, but just want to give a quick rundown of what Georgia Adopt-A-Stream is. We are a citizen science program excuse me, that trains volunteers to monitor the water quality of Georgia's diverse waterways, plus some other things too. And then we also have an annual conference every year, which you're now a part of. This is Confluence. And if you are not already a part of our newsletter and our other offerings, we'll hopefully have some communications going out soon to let you know about Confluence for next year and what that's going to look like. So yeah, just stick around for some information from us here at the end. And yeah, we're happy to get started today.
Great. So I'm very excited for our session today. It's Magnificence. And our speaker is Kathy Church. And Kathy is a programming coordinator and wildlife interpretive specialist for Georgia Department of Natural Resources. She has a Bachelor of Science in Wildlife Management from the Warnell School of Forestry at UGA and a Master's of Arts in Teaching and Secondary Science Education from Piedmont College. She taught high school science for about 15 years before joining DNR, and she has spent her whole life living and exploring the forests of Northeast Georgia. So welcome, Kathy, and whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jackie. Can everybody hear me okay? Cool.
Yes.
Awesome. Like you said, I'm a wildlife interpretive specialist / programming coordinator with DNR, which basically all of that just means that I'm a teacher. That's what it means. And what I do is I travel around teaching all the time. And luckily, because I'm in Northeast Georgia, I get to teach really cool stuff. But one of my favorite topics is talking about the great water quality that we have here in North Georgia and the great habitat that's around that water quality on all the amazing things that you would find in and around there. And so when they asked me to talk today, I thought, you know what? I want to talk about some of the macros and stuff that you would find up here that you might not find, say, if you're a South Georgia stream. So that's why I called this macro magnificence, just because most people that do a lot of testing do testing where they might not see some of the things that I get to see up here. So a lot of it may be review for you guys. And if it is, awesome. If it isn't, yay. But also just to kind of get an idea of how different streams vary in different ways and why our stream here, which is called Dukes Creek, is so important. But like she said, I work for WRD. I'm actually stationed with parks here at Smithgall Woods. And if you have ever been to Smithgall Woods, go down to the bottom of your screen to the reactions and just give it a little heart. Little heart if you've ever been to Smithgall Woods. Oh, Bailey's been. Yay. Jackie's been. It's awesome up here. It's just a different situation. Smithgall is different from all other state parks. We are one of the only areas in all of Georgia that is a state park, a conservation site, a trophy trout stream, and an education center, and a WMA all in one place. So we are basically 6,000 acres of foot traffic. So you can come, you can see all of these beautiful areas, but you got to do it on foot. So it's quite the different spot. So it's a great conglomeration between parks, between game management, between non-game, fisheries, EPD, everybody all works together to keep this place perfect. And the reason why we have it is because of this lovely man and his coonskin hat. This is Charles Smithgall. And Charles Smithgall was basically a media mogul. That was what he did. He created some newspapers. He turned around and sold them off. He spent time in television. He did lots and lots of stuff. But he always loved being out and being in the woods, especially in Northeast Georgia. So when he finally got older and decided that he was going to retire, he had bought pieces of property here and there for a long time. And after buying up that property, he realized, I just want to stay here and just enjoy the mountains. The downside, though, is when he bought up the property had been through a lot. Biggest damage to this area was gold mining. And it started as panning gold. Most people don't know that the first major gold rush in the United States was not California. It was actually Northeast Georgia. It was White County, White and Lumpkin County area. We had our own mint in Dahlonega, where we printed our own money from the gold that came out of White County and Lumpkin County. You can actually still find that money. It's very valuable, but it will have a little D printed at the bottom, which tells you that it was actually printed at the Dahlonega Mint, which is super cool. But the problem with that is after it was found, they stepped it up from panning for gold to actually starting to dig, and then all the way into hydraulic mining. So one of the amazing things that you can see around here is you can see where the land was just destroyed. Big tailings of where they washed down the side of the mountain and piled up big areas of dirt, chunks of quartz just kind of lay around because quartz told you where the gold was. So we actually have pictures of this place from the early 1900s where it was just naked. It looks like the moon. There's hardly a tree, nothing. They even had a stamp mill next to the river. It had a railroad that ran through here. I mean, it was a mess. But gold runs out, move on, trees grow back, yay. And then people said, well, these trees are pretty valuable. So then we get hit with sawmilling for a few decades, up even until the 60s. Helen, most people don't know that the town of Helen, which is right next door, was actually a large sawmill. Those buildings that are all put together were where they would float trees down the hooch. It was a major sawmill. So this place has been through some serious destruction, within a couple of 100 years. But what Mr. Smithgall did was he said, I want to put this place back to the way it was. So he spent years hauling off ton after ton after ton of trash, putting back native trees and native plants, cleaning out the river, putting in breaks and things, putting in V dams and that type of stuff to actually tumble that water to try to bring the trout population back. And then in his older age, once he got it all together and he got it the way he liked it, then he decided he wanted everybody to be able to have access to it. So in 94, he turned around and sold it to DNR. And that's why it is still a conservation site, because what he said was, I will sell this to you, but it will not become a recreation park. It will be a conservation area. It will be specifically for conservation, meaning taking care of what's here, and that taken care of may be through population control, which is why hunting is allowed here, or it may be through food plots for the animals that are here. It may be through, for example, we have a lot of endangered species of plants here that we propagate to put back out. We actually hide them so that people can't find them, to protect them. But he said that's what it's for. But I also want everybody else to learn about it. So it's going to be for education. So we are also one of the 7 regional education centers in Georgia. That was his plan. So where we are now, just so you can get an idea, if you've never gotten to come here, we have 28 miles of hiking and biking trails. Oh, I think I'm frozen. Am I frozen? Oh, there I came. Okay. We have waterfalls. We've got campsites just for organized youth groups. We don't allow camping of any other sort. We have very nice cottages. And we have, of course, the endangered species that we take care of here. We do that with the Atlanta Botanical Garden and the Wildlife Conservation Section, and then our educational center. But we are best known for Duke's Creek, which is a trophy trout stream. The cool thing is if you can't come up here, you can actually still go see it. If you go onto YouTube, I guess it's been 3 years ago now, there was a group that came through and did virtual reality videos. So you can actually go and see the park itself. And I'm going to show you a little bit of what it looks like. Then you can play with it. The most fun is to play with it on your phone, because you can actually pick your phone up and turn it and look over the park. So it looks a little funny, a little kind of blurry.
Allwood
You
State
don't have to hear
Park.
me
My name is
again.
Kathy.
But you can actually take your mouse, move it. There's Duke's Creek. There's the Bays Bridge. There's me talking about the Bays Bridge. You can see the sky, the ground. It's really cool. You can skip ahead and see different parts. So you can go beyond the Bays Bridge area and see other portions of the trails and things of that nature. You can even skip all the way and see where I'm sitting, which is our discovery room. But like I say, it's really super cool when you do this with your phone, because you can actually look up at the ceiling, look over there and down and that kind of stuff. So if you're curious about where I am right now, I am right there where that table is talking to you guys. There are other sites too, which make this really awesome. So if there's someplace that you can't go, or, especially with COVID right now, and you don't want to go and be in a public place like that, you can actually just go to Virtual Reality Georgia, pull this guy up and see all these different places, which is awesome. But of course, the place that we want to see is Smithgall. And we said, what we're known for is our trophy trout fishing stream. Now at Smithgall, it is very different from other streams. It is highly regulated. So there's only fishing on Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday, only by reservation. It is what we call ABC. So meaning you can only use artificial bait, barbless hooks, and everything is catch and release. So we're really particular about it, trying to protect those fish. But what I want you guys to do right now, grab your cell phone or open a separate, browser tab, and go to nearpod.com. When you open nearpod.com, you're going to see an area that says students join in. Type in that code NJMED to get to the student code. We're going to see what you guys already know so that we don't repeat ourselves, because that's boring. So nearpod.com, and then put in NJMED. Now, what you're going to see when you open it up, you're going to see what looks kind of like a chalkboard. And it has a question on it that says, what is necessary for a stream to produce trophy trout? So all you got to do is type in what you think and hit post, and we'll all be able to see what you think is necessary for a trophy trout stream. Ooh, Sierra, nice. Cold, high DO, places to spawn, macros, absolutely. Good quality water, good habitat. Yeah, you guys got this. Now, this is why I point this out, because a lot of people think that if they don't find certain macros in certain places, that it's a difference in water quality. Not necessarily. It may just be a difference in location. Here where we are, it is heavily shaded. It's coming out of the headwaters, off the mountain. So it's going to be traveling really fast. It's going to be shaded most of the time, unless it happens to travel through a pasture or something like that, versus being, say, south of Atlanta. You're south of Atlanta, or even south of Gainesville. It's flat, it's open. You're going to have warmer water. You're going to have a different situation totally. So because of that, we are most definitely a trophy trout stream. So what the trout have to have, like you guys said, got to have good water quality. So you got to have clear water. Now what trout fishermen love, they love it when it has rained or is raining when they're in there, because then they get what they call a stain on the river. In other words, the sediment just picks up a little bit, fogs up that water some, and it makes it harder for the fish to see the humans. So they actually have a little better luck when there's just a little bit of stain on that water. But purity is the key. And here at Duke's Creek, like I say, we are sitting at the headwaters. So it's only a little ways up behind us, basically, until you hit the mountain, and that's where the water comes from, straight out of the ground. The only downside to that is between here and there is Chattahoochee National Forest, which is good, but there are a lot of campsites up there. So when anybody asks me, can we drink the water in Dukes Creek? I say, you can. Do you want to? Because Lord knows what Bubba's doing in the woods on his camping trip. So probably not a good idea. Okay. But what we do have is we do have good temperatures. We used to actually monitor the temperature of the water repeatedly every day. And if that water hit 70 degrees, we would shut down fishing. We don't do that anymore. What we do now is summertime, we just shut down fishing. It's just way too stressful for the fish, because what we were finding was, especially in the last few years, even by 10 o'clock in the morning, we were hitting 70 degrees easily, especially in June, July, August, like that. And it was just way too stressful for the fish. So now we only fish October through April. At May, we shut it down, and no problem. We do, though, allow fishing if you happen to stay in one of the cottages, but there is no open fishing to protect the fish. Now, the next one, though, is kind of important. pH between 5 and 7.5. Okay, well, that's acidic to just barely over neutral. If it weren't for the gold mining, we wouldn't actually have that. And a lot of people think, what? The gold mining just destroyed the land. It did. But what happened when they washed all of that sediment into the stream, they actually caused the pH to drop. And you can tell this by actually looking at what's growing around Dukes Creek. Lots and lots of dog hobble, lots and lots of rhododendron, things that are based in acidic soils. And if it had not been for that gold panning, the soil wouldn't be as acidic as it is, which means the sediment in the bottom of the stream wouldn't be in the right level. We're usually in the 6 area, which is pretty normal for around here. But high oxygenation, yeah. We normally average in the about 10 to 13 area. 11 or 12 is not uncommon for us. And that's just because it's covered in trees. It's tumbling through there, going over all these rocks and riffles and things, and traveling fast, to the point that sometimes when we do programs, I have had to cancel and say, I'm not putting anybody in that water because I will find Mexico. They will just disappear. We have had multiple cases of the water totally leaving the banks, which is amazing, because in some spots that thing is 20, 30 feet across and the bank is 8, 10 feet high, and it just come right out over the top and totally flood. So it moves, and it moves hard. But the good thing is the trout themselves are really sensitive to pollution, to water temperature rise, to low flows, and we don't really have those problems. Since we're this close to the headwaters, we don't have pastures, we don't have buildings around it, we don't have anything like that that would be dumping, stuff into our stream. And like I say, it's moving pretty much most of the time. It does get a little low in the summer, but where we are here, this is a temperate rainforest. We average anywhere from, on the low end, 65 inches of rain per year, to the last couple of years have been 125 inches plus. So just to give you an idea of comparison, Seattle averages 36. So we're pretty wet up here. We don't have to worry about running out of water for sure. But when we're actually checking the water quality, we do this ourselves. We do it with the kids. We do it with the public because it is such a great place. And we do actually check both the abiotic and the biotic factors. And I'm sure you guys know abiotic means no life. And so these are the non-living things. Like we said, our pH is usually in the 6 area to maybe 6, 6, 6, 8, something like that. Our dissolved oxygen is pretty high. It is great, though, to test it different times of the year just to see how it is, because in August, it may be 8, 9. In January, it may be 12, and it's just amazing to see the difference there when we have water coming in, temperature's low, that type of stuff. Temperature is a big factor around here, though. A lot of people don't think about how the sun just hitting it makes a big difference. Well, because of all the shade, that water's moving, so it's hard for that water to warm up. And because it's shaded, it doesn't get not even hardly hours per day, except in a few sections where it may be a little open. The other difference is substrate. If you are even below Hall County, if you're getting into the Piedmont and into Middle and South Georgia, you're going to start having sandy substrates. So a lot of you guys that are down there, I know that you use D-nets. old silty sandy substrate, D-net wouldn't do you a bit of good up here. You just break it trying to do anything. We have to use kicksane nets because we are a rocky bottom stream for sure. There is some silt between, but most of it is rocks. If you ever do get to come up here for doing a little stream ecology out in here, I always tell people when you are walking in the stream, always step down, don't step up, because it's very, very rocky, and any rocks that are high enough towards the surface are going to be covered in algae slime. And if you step up on it, you're going to go down and you're going to have waders full of water. So always step down in a rocky bottom stream. Wind, because of the trees, not really a factor through here. And pollution and trash. The amazing thing about Smithgall is we tried to do a scavenger hunt. And the last thing on the scavenger hunt said, bring the naturalist a piece of trash. It was the one they couldn't complete, couldn't find any. The people that come here are very respectful, and don't really have a problem. So it's pretty amazing. And like I say, sunlight, not so much. Biotic factors though, you guys know we do bacterial testing. We check our macroinvertebrates, aquatic plants. So like I said, with the dog hobble and rhododendron and things like that on the side, in the actual stream itself, it's moving too fast. You don't really have anything. What you have floating in there is just leaves and that kind of stuff that have fallen from the side. So really the only aquatic plants that you're dealing with are actually right on the bank, not out in the middle. But those aquatic plants and the terrestrial plants around it, great, because that's letting you know how much water is getting up there. What's really cool is you can actually see on the side of the banks how high that water has traveled, because you can see markings where it has, knocked plants down or cut in and show the difference in water level. So you may be out there one day and you're standing in 4 inches of water, and we have a rain like we had 2 nights ago, and you'll be standing in 40 inches of water in one night. So that itself is impressive. And then of course, bioindicating fauna, we have lots and lots of ephemeral pools around here. So there's salamanders and frogs and all kinds of stuff that actually help us check the water quality. We have looked for hellbenders before, haven't been lucky enough to find one. Doesn't mean they're not here, but that would be really awesome if we did find one. But we said we are a trophy trout stream. So the trout we have, of course, are the rainbow trout. Easy to pick out because he's got that big old pink stripe that runs all the way down his body. Most people don't know, though, that a rainbow trout is actually on the top 100 invasive species of the world list. And that's just because they have been transported out all over the place for fishing purposes. The good thing here is they really don't become a problem in Dukes Creek, just because we do have such a warm up in the summer. So it's tougher on them than it would be somewhere like, say, a Montana stream or an Alaska stream or something like that, where they can really, really compete. We have to stock at least 4 times a year. So it's not really an invasive problem around here. Just know that he's non-native. The cool thing to me though is how long they can live. Some of these guys can really live a long time. And so they can get big and hefty fat. 3-foot fish around here are actually not a strange thing. But this guy really, really, really loves those sensitive macros. So caddisflies, stoneflies, mayflies, they're their favorites. And here you would most definitely see those guys, tons and tons and tons of stoneflies and mayflies, no problem. The brown trout, he's also not native. He's usually going to be smaller, but this guy, the record is like 20 years. That's amazing to me. I mean, it makes sense. He's, cold water animal, but that's awesome. But this guy will eat the macros and pretty much anything else. If you notice, he will actually take mammals like mice and stuff. If they come up to drink or fall into that stream, he will pick off birds that go in to get water. They'll eat anything that they can fit in their mouth, they will do. But what tells him apart is look for the circles. So when you see the spots on his back, all of his spots are going to have light colored circles around them. So almost white circles around these dark brown and dark red spots. It's tough when they're little. So if you're sampling and you happen to catch a little trout, it's kind of tough because they don't have the same pattern. They have bars down the side. But when they're an adult, it's pretty easy. But our favorite around here is our only native guy, and that's the brook trout. Now, there are two ways to tell him apart. He's kind of got wormy little squirrelies on the top of his back. They look like vermicelli. But the easiest is actually look at those fins. His pelvic and pectoral fins are going to have these bold white stripes along the edges. Makes him easy to tell apart. But this is the guy that, as far as DNR, our section, this is the guy that we work towards the most. The rainbows and the browns, we bring those in for recreation and for sport. But as far as the streams, this is who we're worried about. We even have a program called Back the Brookie, because we want to support this animal, because we know if this animal is healthy and surviving, then guess what? Our stream is healthy and surviving, and we're good to go. And he's very, very much like the brown. He will pick off anything that touches that water. So if a lizard falls in, if a mouse runs across the top of the water, boom, he'll pop it. He doesn't care. But notice that all of them rely on these macros. So go back to your Nearpod. Should still be open somewhere. If not, there's the code again, NJMED, in case you lost it. And we are going to see who can actually match all of the macros with their names. This should be easy. All you got to do is click on the picture, click on the name, and see if you got it right. I like to do this just for fun. So new folks might be a little tougher. Old folks are going to be like, pow, 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 pow. Oh, see, Bailey's already jumping in there. Go, Bailey, go. And the cool thing, if you ever want to use Nearpod, is you can totally see on your side, you know, who's in there and what they're doing and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, oh, Eric's getting it. Jennifer's getting started. Ooh, Bailey is on a roll. There goes Jackie. Jackie's jumped in. And if you're ever teaching, this is also a fun way for them to help learn their macros and learn their names and that kind of stuff so they can ID between the two of them. Oh, Bailey, you better hurry. Jackie is catching up with you. She is catching up. Cecilia's in there and Alexa's in there. Ooh, Sierra, you starting to smoke them. You're getting quick. Oh, Bailey, you got to run for your money with Sierra, man. She's quick. Woohoo! Bailey got them all. Good job, Bailey. Oh, Alexa's got them. Sierra's got them. Eric's hot on their heels. Michael's right there. Excuse me. I have a little tickle. Awesome job, everybody. And just know too, even if you don't want to use Nearpod or don't have Nearpod, no problem. You can make your own matching games online. All you have to do is literally just type in matching game creator. It'll pull up free games that you can save and do things like that and use to help you study or to help somebody learn about it or whatever. But we won't hang on to that forever. So these are some just hints that I like to give folks to help remember these macros, because like I say, up here, you're going to see a lot of these really sensitive guys because we've got this super, super clean water. Stoneflies and mayflies. The great thing about the stoneflies is we have two different color varieties. We have the dark chocolate brown, and then we have the light gold kind. The cool thing is though, is if you ever question whether it's a stonefly or mayfly, just literally wait a minute, just watch it and wait a second. Because what's going to happen is the chocolate brown variety, his gills are all right here on his chest. It's terrible sounding, but he looks like a bad 70s actor. I mean, it's like bad curly chest hair everywhere. But because it's located right here and he's not in moving water, then he will actually start to do push-ups. So when he's sitting still in the water, in the bucket where you've collected it, he will start going like this, up and down, up and down. And he's just doing that to push the water across his chest. The gold variety will wiggle his butt, wiggle his butt, wiggle his butt, because they're closer towards the back. They're more like in the armpits. So he will start wiggling his butt. So if it starts doing push-ups or wiggling its butt, that's a stonefly, no problem. The mayfly, and a lot of people will say 2 tails, 3 tails. Okay, I can't tell you how many times I've seen tails broken off. So I don't really rely on the tails. The mayfly, what I look at is I look at these little gills right here on his abdomen because they constantly flutter. It's like he's got spirit fingers. Yeah, stoneflies have hairy armpits. Perfect. Absolutely. But the mayflies, it's like spirit fingers on the side. They're always going, constantly fluttering. And that too is just really cool to show people, to show how that animal adapts to being in that type of water. Snipefly larva, yep, see those guys? I always just say ballpoint pen because they look like a ballpoint pen or like an old school fountain pen with that head. But caddisflies, we have tons of them, and they are in rock cases, they are in stick cases, they are in every format that you can find. And again, with those, I say just pick it off and wait a minute. Because what happens every time is if you pick him off that rock, he will eventually just crawl out like, what's happening? What's going on around here? And you'll actually see him come out of there. Plus, two, you know whether or not to count him, because if nobody crawls out, he's not alive. There's nobody in there, so you don't count him if you're doing a quality test. This is the one that most people don't get to see, though, is the water penny. And we have tons of water pennies. And there's nothing more fun than picking up that little water penny and sticking him on your finger and letting him crawl, because it's really hard to see his little legs under there, but he will actually just walk around on your finger. And it's the coolest feeling of those little sticky legs going all over. But if you want to get them, you're going to have to actually pick your rocks up, flip them over, and look really close, because he's so perfectly camouflaged. And that shape, he actually just looks like part of the rock. So you have to look and find them and pick them off. Gilled snails, I don't actually see those very much. Doesn't mean they're not here. It just means that I don't see them very often. There's an easy way to tell gilled from lunged, though. Lefty lung. Okay, lefty lung. So if you're looking at the shell like it is in the picture, then if it's a lunged snail, generally, the shell itself is going to open up on the left side. If it's a gilled snail, it's going to open up on the right side, which I just noticed in the picture is backwards for you guys. But this is my right hand, this is my left hand. Okay. And riffle beetles, oh, they're easy. They're just going to be a tiny little black dots swimming all over the place. And we have tons of those guys too. They're just cute. The somewhat sensitive, a lot of people say, well, do you have the tolerant guys? Do you have the guys that yeah, we have all of them. That's what makes our water quality so high. And the hardest thing that I have to stress to people is it's not about number of something, it's about diversity. We have lots and lots and lots of different kinds of things in there. Scuds, I haven't found. And the reason is simple. 9 times out of 10, when I'm in there with 25 children, and I don't have time to find the little bitty, shrimp guys that are tiny. I'm usually trying to keep a kid from drowning, but they look like little shrimp, easy peasy. But we do have lots of the net spinning caddisflies, and those guys, they're bright green. They look totally different, but that suit of armor along the back of his head, bright green, makes him easy to spot. Lots of those. Now, here are the two that people want to confuse all the time, and this is how I keep them straight. A dragonfly nymph, and you guys have seen him. You're like, oh, well, it's really easy. He's got these giant eyes and this big jaw and all that kind of stuff. This is how I teach it to people that are new. If it's a dragonfly nymph, it has a big old butt. It is the Kardashian of the creek because it's got this big wide butt on there that the damselfly does not have. And a damselfly, well, if you are a damsel in distress, oh my goodness, you are going to need to fan yourself with those little paddle-like gills at the back of your body. You're going to have to fan yourself because you are a damsel in distress. Okay. It's just, you would be amazed at how relating it to something that people don't normally relate to, like I don't really relate to streams, but I've seen the Kardashians and they all have gigantic butts. It helps. They are the Kardashian of the creek. And the damselfly has got her own lovely little paddles to help keep herself from feeling the vapors, So that kind of helps, straighten those two out. Cranefly larva, yeah, most people don't confuse those. They just look like a big fat worm. And of course, crayfish. The fun thing about crayfish is just teaching people how to pick them up because they panic. It's going to pinch me. I'll just grab it. Can't hurt you. No biggie. But now here are two that sometimes people can get mixed up. And, us having done this a bunch of times, we go, how in the world do you get those two mixed up? But what they see on that Helgermite, that Dobson fly, they see all those fake legs and they immediately assume, oh, it's got 10 legs like an isopod. It's got to be a sow bug. But just remind them, if it's got big giant pinchers, there's a reason we call it a Helgermite. Okay. Ow, it can pinch the fool out of you. Sow bug, nah. We see tons of Helgermites around here, and there's nothing cooler than finding them when they've got that big pinchers, when they're just about ready to become adults. And it's super, super awesome. Clams and mussels, yep, but not so much in Duke's Creek. Again, it's that rocky bottom thing, really hard for them to dig down in there. So you occasionally do, but not so much. The interesting thing is you can go from Duke's Creek here to my house, which is 7 miles away. And 7 miles away, it's just a little less rocky because it's actually a stream that comes out of an erosion pond, and mussels everywhere, the whole entire thing. And for me, that's really awesome because that means I've got great blue herons that stay all year round, and you'll just find mussels just have been torn apart all over the place where they're just eating the fool out of them. But that's just a difference in substrate, not necessarily a difference in quality. Sort of cool. So then how about our pollution tolerant guys? Okay, well, I am going to give this caveat now. There is one animal on the planet I don't like. One. I love all animals. They all have jobs. I know they all have jobs, but I hate leeches. I hate them. And I hate them for a very good reason. I have been covered in leeches more than once, and I don't like it. I understand their purpose. I appreciate them and what they do. It doesn't mean I have to like them. So I'm just letting you know that I have a little bias for leeches before we get there. Okay. But here they are. There's the leeches. And I specifically chose this picture because a lot of people, when they think of leeches, in their mind, they have that like gigantic South Asian dark bodied monster leech that people stick on their eyeballs or use to reattach fingers. And that's not what we see around here. I will tell you though, I have seen a leech that came out of a pond at a school I was working at that was bigger than a plastic spoon bowl. Yeah. Honestly, it was like this. And for comparison, that's bigger than a 50-cent piece. I don't like anything that attaches to me. But now, yeah, Alexa, shutters. Okay, I can handle a lot of stuff, but if it attaches to me, I have problems. But the other one is black fly larva. And the only reason why those two can be kind of confusing sometimes for people is just because, the leech a lot of times has a fat side that goes skinny. And so people will assume that that's what it is. But the black fly larva, to me, I just call it the little black bowling pin because it looks like a little black bowling pin, just rocking back and forth, sitting on the bottom. But the other thing that people don't realize is we will find leeches on other animals. So it is not uncommon for us to find leeches on our crayfish here. So when you collect, a lot of times you need to look at your other guys like the crayfish to see if they have something like leeches attached to them, which is kind of cool. And then midge flies and aquatic worms, most people get that because it looks like an earthworm. The midge fly does a dance. And if you've ever watched them, when you collect them up and you put them in their bowl, then you got this little red worm going all the time, constantly. Even when these guys get in like my horse's water trough, I can look down and I see little reds constantly. So that's what I call the midge fly dance. So the midge fly dance will let you know super, super quick whether or not you got midge flies in there. And then of course, there's your lung snail with the left-hand side opening up nice and easy. But this is just a quick thing just to show you how we actually go through in case you are Middle and South Georgia and you're using D-nets, just to show you how we actually go through.
Keep in mind that if you go and look for macroinvertebrates on your own at home, you always need to do so with a buddy. Here you can see that I brought along my friend Miss Kathy Church in order to help me look for macroinvertebrates. Here you can see that she's filling the bucket halfway full of water so that these macroinvertebrates will have a comfortable place to hang out while we search for more. Now she is placing rocks at the bottom of the seine net to keep the net against the bottom of the stream while she grinds her feet around. Here she begins to grind her feet around up and down to look for macroinvertebrates on the bottom of the stream. As she grinds her feet back and forth, she will actually kick these macroinvertebrates up and they will be caught in the seine net that I am holding.
Now, Harold, just so you know, this is one of the sites that I was telling you about in that email.
Once we get a good sample, we will fold the net up hamburger style and carry it onto shore.
Okay, folks, get your chat ready.
We will then begin to pick through what we caught and look for any macroinvertebrates that might be present. When you are looking for macroinvertebrates, you don't need to be more than about an ankle deep in water. So if you are waist deep or even knee deep, you're way too deep to be finding any kind of macroinvertebrate.
Okay, use your chat. Name it if you see it.
If you don't have access to a seine net or you can't create one, flipping rocks is a good alternative to finding macroinvertebrates. So when you walk around and flip rocks, you just want to make sure that you always flip the rock back towards yourself. This is to protect yourself from being bitten by something like a water snake or a crawfish that's looking for his next meal.
Yeah, good job, Alexa.
Walking around the stream edge is not only a good place to find rocks to flip for macroinvertebrates, but it's a good place to find all kinds of reptiles and amphibians.
There he goes. Womp, womp.
Just remember that if you do go out and look for critters, that this is their home.
That's the Cranefly.
So you want to be respectful.
So he's the big fat guy.
Always make sure to flip rocks back to the original location that you found them in. You wouldn't want someone to come in your home and leave your house a wreck, so make sure that you flip all rocks back over. Moving around rocks in a stream can seriously devastate the stream ecosystem, so make sure you leave it as you found it and respect nature. Within about 5 minutes, Miss Kathy and I found all kinds of cool critters. After we finished looking for macroinvertebrates, we made sure to return everything we caught back into the water. Here you can see me rinsing out the seine net so that it is ready to go for the next time. After I rinsed out the net, I then gently dumped all the macroinvertebrates we caught back into the water.
So that was actually our naturalist, and she actually found another job, a full-time job with South Carolina. We were so proud of her. But she did a fantastic job creating a long version of this video for elementary school and high school kids to use when COVID happened, because they couldn't come out to the stream anymore. And so we thought, well, let's just bring the stream to them as much as we possibly can. And Gretchen, or anybody else, if y'all ever want to use that video, just let me know. I can send you the link and you can have the longer version, which then goes through with this, like this poster that you're seeing right now, goes through who's, sensitive, who's somewhat sensitive, who's tolerant, and how we actually score it. So what we do as just a cheaty, easy way to go through and do quality is once we collect, we use a poster like this one, and we just go, okay, got Plecoptera, got Ephemeroptera, got it. And of course, then just 3 points, 2 points, 1 point to get a basic idea of what our overall score is. And, if you're teaching a new person, this is a great way for them to see that all in one picture. And this is just something that the University of Georgia created for us that we could use, especially with kids, because they need to match it with a color picture and things like that. They don't do well when you have a bug in a jar, they're like, it's not brown anymore. I don't understand. Okay? So just a great way to show that different streams, you're going to find different things. So you could see how rocky it is up here for sure. So no use of D-nuts whatsoever. We just use little plastic buckets to collect in, sort them out, take them right back, get an idea of what our score is. And, we're usually above 20 almost all the time, unless it's really, really dry or something like that. So we have a pretty good score. But I want you to go to Nearpod one more time. It's the last time, I swear, because I want to have a little competition, because I love competition. Competition is fun to me. We are going to have a little race. So on your Nearpod, what you should see is a little thing that says time to climb. And then it's going to ask you to pick a character. You can pick any character that you want. You're going to be underwater, so your character is going to have on a little scuba helmet. They didn't have freshwater. I was really disappointed. Had to go with saltwater. But when you pick your little person, then you will click start. And then what we're going to do is it's just 10 questions. It's not hard, but you only have 10 seconds to answer each question. And as you answer, the faster you get a correct answer, the more points you get. And you guys will actually run up the hill, and whoever gets to the top of the hill first wins. I love competition. So let's see, I've got Alexa, and I've got Jennifer, and I've got Eric and Cecilia and Bailey and Jackie. And we'll wait just a couple of more minutes, and then we'll hit start, and we will see who makes it to the top first. It's just fun. I just like doing it. Alexa, I like your octopus lady, by the way. That's pretty awesome. I don't think I've ever used the purpley kind of lady. That's cool. All right. Okay, competitors, are you ready? Because we're going to get started. And remember, you've only got 10 seconds to answer each question. Ooh, Jackie jumps to the front. Go, Jackie, go. Man, everybody's right there next to her, though. Oh, what did I say about pH? Oh, what was the right one? Oh, no. Oh, Jennifer knows. She's right there. Jennifer's got it. Oh, crawls on your finger. Easy peasy. Yeah. Oh, Cecilia just jumped ahead. Go. Light circles, round dark spots. Oh, yeah. Oh, Cecilia, you better hurry. Eric is right behind you. He is hot on your tail. Temperature. Oh, what was that ideal temperature? For me, ideal temperature is about 74. I like to be a little warm. Woohoo! Oh, Jackie is coming up close. Jennifer's right on her tail. Am I native? Oh, Eric just jumped over. Good job. A little hopscotch there. Oh. Hairy armpits. Wiggle my butt, wiggle my butt. Oh, it's a Kardashian. A Kardashian. The funny thing is now you're not ever going to be able to think of anything else. You're going to see a dragonfly and go, it's a Kardashian. Only 2 more questions. Oh, this is getting close. Man, Eric and Jackie are right next to each other. How should I roll that rock? Okay, last one. This is for the big win. For the big win. Gotta be fast. Oh, let's see. Gonna be close. Man, it's close. Oh, Jackie pulls it out in the end, right at the very end. Awesome job, guys. Awesome job. But of course, wanted to give time for any kind of questions that anybody might have as soon as I can make myself stop sharing. There we go. So if anybody thought of any questions, feel free, put them in the chat or just unmute yourself and holla at me, either one. Welcome back, Jackie. Hey, Jackie, how come your butt's not wet? I thought the same for Bailey. I was like, boy, your butt must be really cold.
For a moment, I was like, wait, what? Like,
you're sitting in a stream. Maybe you're sitting on the rock. That's what it is. You're sitting on the rock.
Just perched on a log somewhere.
All right.
See, does anyone have any questions? Oh, my heart is still I'm coming down from that competition right now.
I love competition. It makes it fun.
Love them too, but I get really like about it.
Oh, yeah.
So
You're like, I gotta be ready. I know it's gonna be a hard question. Oh wait, it's just a trout. Boop. Oh, thanks, Alexa. I like it. I like I don't like doing things old school if I don't have to. So like when I do an AAS macro training, I throw in Jeopardy, so like when, you have your review before your test, I do a Jeopardy game with all the test questions in it, just anything to help them learn it in a little bit more fun way than I just got to read this piece of paper. So anything that makes it entertaining. Yeah. And Alexa, if you want that Jeopardy, I'll send it to you. I've got it. Just, get me your email. And actually, I think my email's did I get my email in the information that we had for presenters? I think it is. If not, I'll drop it in the chat right now. Anything that I have that you guys want, I am happy to share it. And like I say, the Jeopardy or, even this presentation or, how to use Nearpod, anything like that, I'm happy to help. So just contact me. Anybody else?
I had a question because I feel you about leeches. I don't like them at all. But do you have a macro that is your particular favorite?
Probably I love the water pennies. They're so cute. And it's so, seriously, like if you've never had one, like crawl across the sensitive skin of your hand and you can feel those little feet going boop, 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 boop. Oh my gosh, it is so adorable. So adorable. And Eric, by the way, for the Nearpod site, there's 2 versions. There's the regular old freebie beginning one, and it's very user-friendly. It's very simple. You can make PowerPoints and everything in there. You can actually make your Nearpod a Zoom. So through Nearpod, you can run your Zoom. So you don't actually have to have people open and do things like that. But there's also a Nearpod Gold. And the thing that's easier about that one is you can make everything for your Nearpod in Google Slides and then just send it over to Nearpod. So that also makes it really easy because you can edit better in Google Slides than you can in Nearpod, but you just literally hit send to Nearpod and it does it. So nearpod.com. Yay. Fun and easy for teaching folks, especially if you got to do it virtually. So any others? Well, everybody, thank you so much for having me today. I will hang out with the talk time afterwards. In case anybody thinks of something else, feel free to just shoot it to me in the chat or send me an email.